So can we start, sir?
Please, sir. Go ahead. I'm ready.
Yeah. With your kind permission, let us start this session. So good afternoon, participants. I, Dr. Jitendra Jain, welcome you all in the second session of fifth day of this faculty development program. And it is a great honor for me to welcome Professor K.C.V. Rao, sir, Professor at JNTUK, Vizianagaram, Andhra Pradesh, for his second talk on practices to improve quality of education. As in the SAR of NBA, there is a section number, I think, 7, which is about continuous improvement, carrying 50 marks. So it's a very important area which we have to look into. NBA accreditation also demands that we should adopt good practices to continuously improve quality of education. And not only NBA, this is required everywhere, this continuous improvement. So
Yes.
Professor Rao has conducted many workshops in the area of outcome-based education and NBA accreditation. So his expertise in this area will definitely enlighten us on the importance of good practices in achieving the outcome from our existing education system. So in spite of his busy schedule, we could get his consent for second talk. So thank you very much, sir. And
Thank you.
I welcome you again, sir. And I request you to kindly start the session.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Let me start.
Yeah, please, sir.
I think the shared information is visible now, sir.
It's visible, sir.
Right.
Sir. Perfect.
Right, sir. Good afternoon to all participants. Welcome to the second session of the last day. Hope and wish you have undergone the different topics like COPO attainment, SAR, different components, curriculum development, design, blended learning, flipped learning, and evaluation, outcome-based education, examinations, design of rubrics, assessment, all the topics by the eminent professors from NITTR and other avenues. Hope and wish you got overall idea by this time. Today, I want to focus on what actually that self-assessment report require as of now and present day scenario under COVID conditions that NBA is also doing online evaluation of accreditation, of course, with some methodology, right? So the last year, we actually we expected online evaluation, but this year March, three people in one person has come, and one person from the headquarter coordinated. Accordingly, they have evaluated, right? So the process is going on now. So accordingly, we have to gear up. Now, coming to that existing SAR, whatever 2013, that's what I'm showing here. And 2015, 16. Yes? Yes, sir? Sir, any question?
No. I think, sir, by mistaken, it was.
Okay, sir. Can I
Mr.
continue?
Uddhav? Yeah, please continue.
Continue, sir. Please continue.
Okay, right. So the first point here is what is the first time accreditation institute is going and what about subsequent accreditation? There is a difference between these two that is to be observed. Those who have gone first time, right? Good. Those that are applying second time, please go through NBA website, observe the changes because they need the status report again and the processes and procedures adopted by you for the last 3 years by whatever strengths, weaknesses, and whatever they mentioned in the report, whether you implement it or not, they want to check it. Second point, the seven program, explicit seven program level criteria. That means each program, having seven program level criteria, criteria 1, 2, 3 up to 7. That seventh one is continuous improvement. That's what coordinator Garu told. And three institute level criteria. The eighth criteria 8 is at first year level, all first year details. Ninth and 10th at governance and administration of the institute, right? That 8, 9, 10 common for all programs. Those marks, 220 marks, are common for all programs. So 780 marks in first 7 criteria are individual program wise. So we have to be cautious about securing these marks That's very important. In that, criteria 5 having 200 marks. That's exclusively faculty credentials. So those faculty credential marks will come only when we follow teaching learning methodologies and your publications, projects, consultancy, and all other things linked with that. So without which we cannot score the minimum 600 marks, because unless we get 600, we cannot get 3 years of accreditation. Total, I'm talking. So to get 600, there is a what do you call pros and cons. In the first 7 criteria out of 780 marks, we have to get at least 500. Out of 220, you have to get at least 150 by their evaluation. So 500 plus 150, that is 650. If you get 650 by their evaluation, because next level committee will be there. So if any marks reduced, at least we'll settle at 620, 630 like that. So at least we'll get first time we'll get 3 years of accreditation, right? Either under tier 1 or tier 2. That's another classification. I think every participant is aware of that. What is tier 1? What is tier 2? If anybody doesn't know, let me know. Let me clarify that. Any participant require clarity about tier 1, tier 2 institutes? Please respond.
Yes, sir.
You require clarification?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, right. Tier 1 institutes are autonomous institutes, government institutes, deemed to be universities and universities. All comes under tier 1 category. All autonomous institutes, deemed to be universities and government institutions. And tier 1 institutes are only having eligibility for Washington Accord status as per NBA norms are concerned. Tier 2 exclusively for affiliated colleges, constituent colleges, non-autonomous institutes. These are all comes under tier 2. And in tier 1, tier 2, in both the cases, you have 7 criteria program level, 3 criteria at institute level. The marks are also same, but internal weightages are different. 1000 marks only, both tier 1, tier 2, right? First 7 criteria 780 marks, next 3 criteria 220 marks. That is also same, but internal weightages are different. Let us see those things in the coming slides, whatever. I'll show that. So there is a basic difference. So whether you're eligible for tier 1 or tier 2, you have to decide first to apply, because the SAR filling is different. The marks weightage, internal marks weightage is also different. So be careful about it. Next, the changes were PEO achievement not there, so that removed. That means PEOs already in the first session, in my first session, first day, I told program educational objectives. By this time, you got the clarity whether 3 or 4 or 5, how much is to be written, why it is to be written, and what are the precautions to be made, and then how we can make it mapping with mission, and then how we can able to achieve the vision, and how we can map with PO, all these things, right? But achievement of PEOs, we have to verify that at the end of the 4th year, at the end of the 5th year, that part, some vagueness is there. That's the reason they have been removed now. Then PO mapping matrix also not there. That is also removed. Earlier it was there. That's the difference between SAR previous one and now. And subsections on course outcomes attainment also separated. They have separated the course outcome attainment.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, PEOs are still there or not?
They are there, sir. They are there. The mapping matrix not there, sir.
Okay, sir.
2 గంటలకు రమ్మని చెప్పు.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Sir, just 1 minute, sir. 1 minute, sir. Somebody is waiting outside. Give me permission. 1 minute.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Sure.
No
Please, please.
స్టోరీ వద్దు నేను ఐఎమ్ బిజీ నౌ మీకు నా సైన్ కావాలి అంటే కమిట్ 2 o'clock right otherwise if is just meeting I'll sign and then I'll keep it there you can take it out so much our exam is there you know that sorry, sir, because as a HOD, students are waiting outside. That's why I have gone out and
sorry.
Okay, sir.
clarified, right? So PEOs are there, sir. POs are there, sir. But the mapping matrix is not there now. Earlier it is there. P4 POs, 4 PEOs versus 12 POs. The mapping matrix is there earlier. Now it is removed. That's the only difference. Then subsection of course outcome attainments are also added. They have earlier it is there, but it is separated now because the weightage is also there. You can look into that criteria 3. I think you have gone through SAR by earlier experts. Please mention, please verify these things. Then effective teaching learning and POPSO's attainment, more emphasis is given. Criteria 2, criteria 3. It consists of both the criterias. For example, the teaching learning effectiveness. So what kind of methodologies we are following in the classroom, number one. And see, we are talking about, say, okay sir, these are the outcomes, course outcomes, and then we are achieving these course outcomes, fine. They are verifying. Do you know how they are verifying? They are verifying, coming and they are verifying your course file, and then they are asking you some questions like, see, first course outcome attained by you, how much percentage? Is it 70% or 80% or 90%? How do you achieve it? There are 60 students in the classroom. You have conducted first mid having on course outcome, there is one question A, question B. Question A has 5 marks, question B has 5 marks. Out of 60 students, how many of them got 10 out of 10 in the first question given by you? Course outcomes written by you or given by university, but question paper set by you based on Bloom's taxonomy, based on level 1 or level 2 or level 3 or level 4 or up to level 6. It's your choice because you have delivered the lectures, you are conducting the test. Out of 60 students, how many you are evaluating? Remember, you are giving question paper, you are telling the lectures, you are evaluating. Still, all 60 students are getting 10 out of 10 in each question? No. Then why? Then why? This is the question to be answered. That is said to be effectiveness. Effectiveness of teaching learning. This is a small example I am telling. Like this, laboratory they are looking, classroom they are looking, seminar they are looking, BTech project they are looking, MTech project they are looking, and the quality of your publication they are looking. The project, how many projects you are dealing, how many projects you applied, how many projects you are delivered. Research projects I'm talking. So how much consultancy you are doing in civil, mechanical, and other departments, right? So this is how every time, everywhere, they are looking about quality. They are looking about outcome. They are looking about the process. So accordingly, you have to fill your SAR. Accordingly, you have to develop your documentation. Now, coming to POs, there are 12 given by NBA, fine. PSOs, the earlier session I told, based on PhDs, based on PG courses, based on your PG labs, based on the strengths of the department, either 1 or 2 or 3 to be written. Now, the question is, writing is okay, but whether you're achieving it or not, how you are achieving it, how much percentage you achieved it, that they look into. The days, earlier days, the moment you have something, you have on paper, right, good. You have some documentation, good. Now, they see documentation, fine. They see the process, fine. But how much you attained, how much you achieved, how much is useful for the department, how much is useful for the faculty, how much is useful for the institute, how much is useful for the students. They are evaluating these things. So you please think in the direction in order to score good marks in your SAR, right? So innovations by faculty in teaching learning included. That means they are asking, so what are the innovations you are doing in the classroom, either online or offline, and what kind of contributions you are giving in the laboratory, in the theory, in the analysis part, in the design part, in the problem solving part, animation part, any Moodles are there, any LMS is there, all these things they are asking. So you have to show the proofs accordingly, not only individuals, for every faculty, for every program level, at college level. So that's what the next point. Institute and program levels, they are looking not only quality of things and expenditure spent per the student. That means you are collecting some fee, X rupees, into so many, the 300, 400, 500 or 1000 students, fine. But how much you are spending towards the quality of teaching or quality of infrastructure, quality of resources or quality of library books, quality of games, sports, etc. They're calculating in 9th and 10th criteria. That is related to 9th and 10th criteria. Then coming to research and consultancy, their expectations from program, not from individual faculty. They are looking into the whole program. There are 3 professors together, what they're doing. The 10 faculty having doctorates together, what they're doing. Earlier it is individualistic. Now they're combining and then they're looking at a program level. That's a good one actually. It's a good change. So accordingly, that means unitedly the whole department, the whole program should work unitedly. So the assessment on classrooms, faculty rooms, medical, that is dispensary, power backup generators. So this assessment is removed now. Normally, because why removed, ASCTE approval is coming only based on that. ASCTE document is there every year. ASCTE asking, and every year they are fulfilling, they are uploading. So for which the assessment has been removed. Please look into criteria 6. Criteria 6, it relates to criteria 6. Then academic audit, faculty performance appraisal, development system included. Earlier it was not there. Why they have included? Because these are the things common for NAC accreditation also. NAC, National Assessment and Accreditation Council. I think many people aware of this. That is at institute level. They're looking into. Hence, they want to include it program level. So, what is academic audit? What is audit actually? Normally, audit means we relate it to financial implications, financial systems. No, academic audit. See, for example, there is a academic calendar. Fine. Whether we are following the academic calendar given by the university or given by the principal or given by the HOD, every faculty following or not. There are 60 hours in a semester to be taken for every course. Assume how many classes taken by the faculty. Is it 50 or 55 or 60? Why those 5 classes were not there? Is it holidays or is it casual leaves kept by teacher, or is it a boycott by the students, or any other sudden things have come? So you have to give reasons for that. You should have proofs for that, and whether you compensate or not, that also they're looking into. This comes under academic. The small examples I'm telling. Say, for example, assignment case. Assignment. Yeah, how many assignments normally we give, or 1 or 2? So how we are giving assignments to the students? Normally they will give 10 questions. Let them write. What they do are normally they copy and they submit. What will we do? We don't correct. We will give some marks at the end. Fine. But the point is, in academic audit, they see the questions given by you. They see the answers written by them. They see how we evaluated. There is no correlation among these 3, so that we lose marks. We lose marks in teaching learning criteria 2. Remember this point. Please remember this point. Any questions at this point? Any questions? Please respond. Then the question comes, how to give assignment? Right? How to give assignment to score marks in NBA or NAC? Yes, there is a procedure. And if you're really interested, please note down these things. Not there in NBA manual or not there anywhere. It's my own personal experience and then personal involvement and then repeated discussions with the learned people. What I understood and what actually I follow over the period of time, take your syllabus sheet. Normally we have 2 prescribed books, 2 reference books. At least 4 books will be there for every course, whatever you teach. So please pick those 4 books. At least those 4 books should be with you. At least soft copies these days, present day scenario, right? So those exercise problems, normal engineering means except few subjects, remaining all are problematic, right? So those exercise problems you have to pick it up. Every chapter, at least 5 to 10 problems, you pick it up. So what happens? 5 units, 50 problems will be there in each textbook. So 4 textbooks, 200 problems will be there. So you segregate that by 60. What will happen? Each person will get 30 problems, maybe roughly, right? 3 problems, maybe 3 problems each person. Make it 5, make it 300. Give 5 problems for each person. Give 5 problems for each person. Those problems will be different and they will work for themselves. They will submit. Give sufficient number of time, no issue. But let them not copy. But the problem is, first time you have to work these 300 problems. And for information, I'm telling, for most standard textbooks, solution manuals are available. So please ask the publishers through, use your librarian, use your library resources, ask them, they will send. So use that solution manual, accordingly you can correct. Once you correct problems from the standard textbook exercise, what happens now? Here multiple benefits. Number one, you can meet your course outcomes with Bloom's taxonomy level 3 or level 4. Nobody can question, because problem solving, no, it comes under level 3, level 4. And Bloom's taxonomy, obviously it will be followed. Then course outcome can be achieved, and you can keep all these things in your course file, fine. And assignments, they cannot copy. Even if they copy, at least they will discuss and then they will copy, no issue. And finally, what happens? No, if you give questions based on the concepts in mid exam, or maybe the questions coming in final examination, obviously based on those problems only will come. Certainly people will answer well. This is my personal experience. So whatever subject I deal so far for the last 10 years, 15 years or so, after modifications of these things, mostly 90% of pass percentage is coming. And most of them are scoring good score. So if you really involve, if you really want to excel as a teacher, if you want to really score good score in NBA, please follow, please advocate your colleagues. You follow first. You tell to others. If you don't follow, nobody will listen to you. If you follow, everybody will follow you. I'm telling you because we are teachers. So let us do it first, and then obviously others will come and others will follow. Of course, they take time, but they will listen to you. That's what is happening in our department. For the last 5 years, I'm a HOD. So slowly, I could able to change around 8, 9 contract faculty mindset. They're listening now, they're following now, they're applying now, right? And out of which 2 people got admissions in PhD as well. Recently conducted common entrance test, they have written and they qualified for PhD admissions at university level, being a contract faculty. That's their achievement. And they are realizing now how much effort they have kept by solving the assignment problems and assignment things. These are the outcomes. I want to tell you, for certain faculty, those are really interested about it. Any questions related to this? I love to answer, please.
Any questions from the participants?
Right, sir. Next, let me go to the next one. Continuous improvement. Assessment is qualitative. So what is continuous improvement? Criteria 7. What actually it contains? There are 50 marks, right? What actually they require? Whatever you said in criteria 3, whatever you have written in criteria 2, they want to check it whether you have done for all 3 academic years under consideration. 3 academic years in the sense, for example, this is 2021 issue. So previous 1920 and 1819. So the 3 years of data to be filled in SAR. So whatever you write, say assignments, just now I said, so because of this, I could achieve these course outcomes, I could achieve these program outcomes, and all these things we write in criteria 3 and criteria 2 and criteria 7 also. Fine. How do they verify? They verify 3 years data. For example, a teacher, assume one teacher is teaching same subject, same course for the last 3 years for different batches. Say, assume this situation. That means that teacher should be perfect in that particular course because he taught 3 times. So first time his pass percentage would be maybe 80%. Second time would be he should be more than that. Third time he should be more than that. Is it happening or not? If not, the fault lies with the teacher, not with the students. We cannot give any reasons for the students. So that batch is not good, that batch is irregular. Normally we talk all these things, but nobody listens. So as a teacher, as you are getting experience, you have to influence more. So the pass percentage should be good. Number one. Number two, what about your course file? The course file should have good material over the period of time. See, first time you read one textbook, second time you go to the another standard textbook, third time you go to the another standard textbook. So you add that material. Maybe you can download from NPTEL. You can follow Coursera. Maybe you can follow OCWMI.edu, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. There are a lot of resources available these days. So that how many e-resources you have followed, how many e-resources you have adopted, what kind of content you have developed by yourself. So all these things they check. That gives you continuous improvement weightage. Not only one teacher, every course teacher should do. In a program, 10 faculty are there, all 10 into 2, 20 courses they are teaching. That means all 20 courses per year into 3, 60 courses they will verify at random, of course. At random, they call 2-3 people, they will interact with them, they will see their course files, accordingly they will come to a conclusion. They cannot check all 10 people, but certainly they will check at least 1 or 2. So how to get 50 out of at least 40 out of 50? Unless otherwise you maintain that record, you cannot get it. So it requires whatever I said earlier about assignments, about seminars, about laboratory learning, about course outcome achievement, about course outcome delivery, all these things included. Then first year admissions, numbers, ranks, both are assessment points. Why it is assessment points? Because a 3 years data, 3 years back, what is the best rank joined? Next, what is the best rank? Next, this is also there in continuous improvement. This is criteria 7. So whether the institute is progressing well or not, based on the state level ranks or national level ranks, or if any deterioration is there, then they will question. The same thing happened to us. Same thing happened to us. 2 years improvement is there, but the last year, because of corona and COVID, other things, people opted for JEE, NITs. They joined, but they left because NIT counseling has been done later after our state level counseling. NIT counseling, the second, third, fourth, fifth counseling happened. Perhaps you know it. Accordingly, they shifted. They asked the questions to me: why people have gone? Sir, they have national importance institutions. Obviously, they prefer. But I want to claim in other way, sir. They have opted, even though they qualified in JEE mains, they have opted for state level university, which is, we are we are counting. We are at the top for their choice instead of any other institute. Right? This is the answer I have given in recent presentation as HOD. That expert, no, he came from Delhi University. So he smiled and said, very logical answer you have given in front of all. Right? Just I want to share the recent experience happened in March 6th actually happened. Suddenly came to my mind, and accordingly I spoke. Nobody taught me, and I didn't even think of. So like this, you have to answer your queries, right? To support your case, right? So how best you can do it, you please follow. Then student feedback about industry connections, and then assessment at program level. And for tier 2, that is critical. Student feedback is very, very critical. So that is included in criteria 4. That is also included in criteria 7. That is also included in academic audit. At 3-4 places, student feedback is coming. That is exit feedback, alumni feedback, course end feedback, course and survey, different things are there in criteria 2, in criteria 3, in criteria 4, in criteria 7. So in all these cases, you should have online models and online feedback, and analysis is also required. For example, certain batch students given a feedback about a certain faculty, assume the teacher, whatever he delivers is not up to the level as far as syllabus completion is concerned, assume that is the feedback got. What is the action taken by the HOD towards that faculty? Whether that faculty improved next semester or next year, have you measured it? What is the feedback given by the next batch students? Have you connected that? Have you informed to the faculty? Have you discussed with the faculty? Have you written in the staff meeting minutes? All these things they check. But just I'm giving an example sake. It may happen, it may not happen. But in this direction, they're looking now. Proofs. So be careful in what is happening and what kind of documentation is required, in what direction we have to think in filling SAR, right? So that is the very important area. At least our thought process should be aligned. Then look at this tier 1, tier 2 cases. As I said, outcomes attainment and student and faculty put together. Look at that. Tier 1, 175 plus 100 plus 200. That is 200 is criteria 5 and 100 is criteria 2 and 175 is in criteria 3, right? So accordingly the changes are there in criteria tier 2. Look at that. The weightage is almost same, just 5 marks left, but individual criteria, the differences are there. Please observe that criteria 5 of course 200, but rest of the criteria the changes are there. The total is same as I said, but internal questions weightages are different, internal criteria marks are different. So that is to be observed in tier 1 and tier 2 manuals. They're available in NBA website, right? You can download, you can check it by yourself. When which institute, which criteria, which time, whether you are under tier 1 or tier 2, which criteria you are interested, why you are interested, how to fill it, all the guidelines are there. But the point here is how best you can score. That's important. Now, placement in higher studies having equal weightages. That is there in criteria 4, exclusively student information. And examples are also given in NBA, how they are looking into. This is about SAR contents that everybody knows it. First one is vision, mission, PEOs. That's what I spoke on the first day, second session. Program curriculum, teaching, learning process. I think some other experts have already spoke. And course outcomes, program outcomes. The exclusively criteria 3 relates to what every faculty is doing, how they are doing. Criteria 4, student performance, and criteria 5, faculty information, contributions. Criteria 6, facilities, technical support. Criteria 7 is continuous improvement, and criteria 8 is first year academics. Criteria 9 is student support systems. Criteria 10 is governance, institutional support, and financial resources. And the details are there in every SAR, right? Now, this is the separation. Please look into carefully. Criteria 1, vision and mission. Tier 1, Tier 2, very clearly look at that. Tier 1, 50 marks. Tier 2, 60 marks. How many questions are there inside? There are 5 questions in criteria Tier 1. Here also 5 questions, but the weightage is different. Please observe that. Please observe it clearly. And what are those questions? Because please look into SAR. I cannot discuss those things now. And second criteria also same. 100 marks for Tier 1 and Tier 2 is 120. Criteria 3, tier 1, 175, tier 2, 120. That's what already the calculations were made already. Earlier point I mentioned, no? Same. Questions number is same, but the weightage is different. In that, see, for example, criteria 2, you can see 30, 70. Remember, not only 2 questions, in that there are sub questions. Subsections are there, right? Accordingly, you have to fill it. And fourth criteria, 150 marks in both the cases, but look at the weightages. Weightages are different. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 questions in tier 1, whereas the tier 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions are there. Accordingly, weightage is different. 150 in tier 2. So be careful about these things. right? Criteria 5. Here, in both the cases 200, but internal marks weightage is different. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 questions are there in tier 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 questions are there in tier 2. So that is the difference. But 200 marks, yes. There are nine questions here, and there are 12 questions there. So similarly, criteria 6, 80 marks in both the cases. Equal marks, but the weightages are different. Criteria 7, tier 1, 75 marks, and tier 2, 50 marks only. So what do we have to understand? The total marks are same. Remember, look at that. Total is 1000 in both the cases. Total is 1000 both the cases. Institute level criteria 220 tier 1, institute level criteria 220 tier 2 as well. That's what I said. 780 marks. 780 marks are there in program level. 220 marks are there at institute level. Those are same, but internal criteria weightages, internal question weightages are different. So please observe if you really want to know about the basic differences between SAR of tier 1 and tier 2. Right? So this is about details. I want to skip to the next part because
Hello.
So the voice is not there.
No audio, sir.
visible. Can I continue?
Yeah, please continue, sir. Your voice was not coming in between.
Sir, is it visible, sir?
Yeah, it's visible. Voice is also okay, sir.
It's a little
Okay,
back,
right.
previous slide, if it would be from there.
Voice is okay?
The voice is okay, sir. The previous slide, because we missed this slide.
Now slide is visible, sir.
Slide is visible. The previous slide, sir.
Previous slide. Okay, sir. Right, right. So this is the previous slide, sir. This is the previous slide. The process of accreditation having 4 activities. Number 1, pre-visit activities. Then during the visit, then report writing, and then they take 360 degrees feedback. These are the 4 activities will be done at accreditation level. And on the particular duration of 3 days, day 0, that means the team members meeting will be there for 45 minutes at their respective places. And then schedule and plans will be done by them. And day 1, they meet management representatives or head of the institution, head of the department for half an hour. Then central facilities for 2 hours. Then followed by lunch. Then head of the department presentation for half an hour only. They fix these timings and then accordingly they follow. We should not even 1 minute also they take it very seriously. So be careful. Those are HODs in the participants. Those are head of the institutions in the participants. Please be careful about the timing. Then classes, they go to classes, they go to laboratories, they go to library, they go to computing center of the at program level, at college level, and they interact with students. And at the end, first day end, they sit for half an hour in the campus. They discuss among themselves and they finalize the day's progress, and then they leave. The second day, they verify the documentations, evidences at the program level. They go to the department directly for 2 hours morning session, and then accordingly they verify all the evidences, documents. But that's what I said in the previous For last half an hour, I keep on telling what they verify, how do they verify. So they verify with faculties. They interact with faculty. As I said, they call at random 2-3 people. They verify all the records, what the faculties are maintaining. Then they interact with head of the institution, head of the departments, management representative, if it is tier 2 private college, and all stakeholders. They will ask us to call alumni, parents, and then employers. And accordingly, they will interact with 1.5 hours with them, and they prepare the report on the second day before they leave at the campus itself. All of them will sit together. They prepare the documentation completely, and most preferably, they will upload the same thing to the NBA on the second day itself. Third day, they come, just they want to spend for 1 hour for exit meeting. They tell strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats, SWOT analysis, whatever they observed in 2 days, this mention program wise. Then evaluators online report to the NBA before the departure. Maybe third day, most of the people they do it in the second day as a what you call as a safety measure. That's what NBA is also asking these days. So completely online, and then your SAR is online filling, and report is also online filling. So online evaluation is also online filling. So this is about the brief information regarding the visit. Those who wish to know, those who didn't experience that so far, I think for those people, I think it will be useful. And like that, there are what kind of questions they ask and how they interact and all. It's almost another almost 6-7 pages are there. So they're all prepared by me, and then some of them also whatever my chairmans in my committee members, chairmans are asked at respective places. I'm so fortunate to work with the IIT professors as chairmen in most of my committees. Some of from NITs, some of from IIITs, some of from IITs, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Delhi, IIT Kanpur, IIT Chennai. Different fields of expertise professors and former vice chancellors are also chairmen of the committees, so that I learn a lot of things. Accordingly, I just kept it over here. What kind of questions they are looking, what kind of questions they are asking in interacting with head of the institution, head of the department, and coordinators, and of course deans, and of course students, and all these questions, right? So of course they're not constant, but they do change, right? So this is a sample I wish to write now. What kind of practices to be followed for quality assurance to get accreditation effectively, right? So, sir, is it visible, sir?
Yes, sir, visible.
Right. So, first question to all of you after 5 days: do you need accreditation? There is no other answer, only yes, because the universal answer is yes, without which we cannot go forward. So, what is that? How to maintain quality assurance? How to get uh, good practices in engineering education? What are the tools available? Right? So, who needs assurance? So, all stakeholders, student perspective, parents perspective, faculty perspective, management perspective, government perspective, right? So Andhra Pradesh state government is very much keen and very much interested to get quality engineers. That's the reason the full fee reimbursement is happening. They are giving full fee reimbursement for all private college students as well, not only government institutions. For all private college students are also government is giving full fee reimbursement. That is a big initiative happening for the last, I can say, 12 years, right? Of course, there are pros and cons, but they're streamlining now. So, what is the quality and how do we measure it? From IIScs, NITs, IIITs, right? But reputation earned over the years becomes an assurance of some kind. So institute having, see, I have visited several institutes like universities like RTU, Kota, Rajasthan Technical University, Kota. It's see their alumni very renowned alumni. I could legend those names. Really felt so happy. They're alumni of RTU. They're in very great positions. That means it's a standing of that particular university. Is it 60 years old, 70 years old, 80 years old, like that? Banaras Hindu University, yes, very great alumni are there, right? Roorkee University, now of course they are becoming IITs, but how they become IIT? Why they have transformed into IIT? So look at that based on their standing. So of course it is a subjective thing. So accreditation is a system which attempts to assess quality a little more objectively to give assurance, to get assurance. Remember, what is subjective nature? What is objective nature? So what is objective question? What is subjective question? How you are setting question paper, and accordingly this accreditation is also follows the same methodology. Whether subject question you are giving or objective question you are giving. Similarly, be ready to answer back when NBA experts come. You are asking questions based on the course you taught, and they will come and they will ask you how many courses you taught as a whole, and how many activities you have done over the period of time. So all these things they look into, they will ask. So they will measure accordingly. So what are possible benefits for accreditation? So let us see. From students' point of view, they come at 17, 18 years. 4 years, very valuable time for them for the coming to finish that UG program. So the students may able to understand: will I become a good engineering student or not? Can I survive the competition or not? So accordingly, they choose whether the institute is accredited by NBA or not. So if your institute is not, NBA accreditation is not done, the students may not prefer. I can say best rankers may not prefer. That is the reality. Hence, accreditation is must. We have to go for it. Then what about parents? Will our son, daughter have a good life after engineering? Is the investment, whatever I am doing, is it good for them or not? So accordingly, they look into. What about faculty then? So faculty working at accreditation institute, whether they're having better career or not. So obviously, the young faculty look into that better institutes to start their career. See, getting when faculty position in IIT, if anybody would like to leave, getting faculty position in NIT, would anybody would like to leave? Why? Because there are dream jobs for all of us, right? Similarly, this accreditation will help accordingly for all stakeholders, faculty, students, parents, and of course society as well. So that's the reason accreditation is universal and we should go for it. So for management perspective, a government perspective, institution will get recognition, and they feel that they are contributing to the society upliftment towards competition, towards recognition, towards sustainability. So what about government perspective? Better educated engineering community will lead to better economic growth. So what can be more important to the government, right? So these are all the things we should look into before going for NBA accreditation, right? Now, accreditation for quality assurance, how do you justify that? Here, is it universal process? Yes. Very unlikely the accreditation process is universal, because every system of education, their own processes are there. So because US universities follow a bit, and our system follows NBA. different countries follows different things. So Washington Accord, many systems jointly accepted, many advanced countries jointly accepted, and our country became permanent signatory in 2014. So India now permanent signatory from 2014 onwards, right? So this is about need for accreditation. Now, is it a ranking procedure? Is it a gold ranking, silver ranking? And NBA evaluators are coming for investigation, like income tax people? No, it's a regular process. And accreditation not a ranking system. They don't give any ranking for any programs. EBIT also don't give any ranking for programs. Remember this point. NIRF ranking is there. Remember this point. NIRF ranking is there, but NBA is not giving any rank. They give a accreditation for a certain period of time. So then, what is this process? Institution being looked at seal of approval by stakeholders in its activity and to meet the expectations of stakeholders, students, government, industry, and faculty. So how students are looking into the institution, how government is looking into the institution, how parents are looking, fine. But what is the benefit they are getting after getting accreditation? That is also they look into. Accordingly, they give this, they give certification, they promote technical education. So beyond certification, they also look into the process of continuous look at how you teach, what is the impact of it, how you are achieving the set goals, objectives in a better way. This is critical. This is where the quality lies. How you teach, what is the impact of it, and how you are achieving that set goals, objectives, and accordingly it will lead to continuous improvement of the system. So it lies with, look at that, how you teach, what is the impact of it, and how you're achieving it in setting your goals at best or better way. So that's what the accreditation is looking into. So what is Indian scenario as of now? In Indian engineering education, almost 4,000 technical institutions are there across India, around 4,000, including IITs, NITs, IIITs, private colleges, and mostly the problem is affiliated system. One university linked with 100 institutions, another university linked with another 50, like that, multi-layered and very, very complex in nature, because the Rajasthan follows certain guidelines, Andhra Pradesh follows certain guidelines as far as promotion is concerned. So here assistant professor gets a certain amount of salary. At other state, they're getting a certain amount of salary. There is no uniformity. Similarly, the syllabus are different. Of course, autonomous syllabuses certainly will be different. The laboratories procedures are different. Evaluation procedures are different. Examination procedures are different. Why? Because we have different number of states, number of intellectuals, number of colleges, and of course, number of governing agencies as well. We have to fill NAC document, we have to fill NBA document, we have to fill NIRF document, we have to fill AICT document, we have to fill EUC document. Look at that. So all these are towards what? Towards quality assurance only. But the point is, to do all these things, are we getting it? We are losing time. There is a reality. But what is to be done? On the same lines, I have presented 3-4 papers at different platforms. In fact, I have presented the paper in IUCE conducted conferences in India and abroad as well. A lot of queries have come, but I could able to answer it. But there is no implementation, right? The point I have mentioned at the end is, why not see EBIT is only one governing agency for all total technical education in US. That's it. There is no other governing agency by the government, right? So why not here? Why should we go for NAC? Why should we go for NIRF ranking? Why should we go? So people don't accept it. It's my personal view only. Not as a professor I'm talking, as a teacher I'm talking, right? What best we can able to do, let us do that. But unfortunately, different methods, different procedures, different parameters coming to the picture. Accordingly, the consuming a lot of time and then accordingly a lot of energies as well. So, if we wish to do the justice for the aspirations of the young people, the only mantra is quality. Why? Because a lot of institutes, lot of places, even now, government is telling only 10% are employable, 15% are employable. What about the remaining 85%? What they are doing? Why these many colleges are producing these many lakhs of students? Lakhs. This is the big question to be answered by all of us. Then, what is the solution? All institutes should get, all programs should get NBA accreditation. Yes, there is a solution. But is it possible? And as per the recent record says, not even 20% of the total institutions are accredited. Not even 20% of out of 4,000, as I said, not even 800 institutes are accredited so far. That is the scenario. Then how do we expect quality? How do we expect employability rate? How do we implement national education policy? So these are all the questions. That's the reason present day scenario of faculty position is very, very challenging. Very, very challenging. Unless otherwise we equip tools, proper tools at our stamina, psychologically, mentally, unless we upgrade our thought process, our attitude, our alignment, we cannot survive. In coming 10 years or so, we will see lot of changes, C changes are going to happen in education sector. I'm very sure about it because the private players have come. Mahindra University has come. Reliance University has come. Right? They have given awards also by central government before they start. See, a lot of competition. Foreign universities are also coming to India. So, where do we stand? How do we stand? What are our credentials? What about our institution credentials? If institution is growing, yes, we can grow. If institution is not growing, we cannot grow. Very, very obvious. So, how to make all these things happen? Please think in this direction. Individually, we cannot do anything. Collectively, only we can do something. So, how best we can do it? So, NBA hopes to create movement towards quality through accreditation and credibility. Accreditation is a tool only. This is a tool. Remember, the goal is improve teaching and learning at our engineering educations. The real benefit of Washington Accord. These are the 4 important points to be remembered. Those who have undergone these 5 days of program for different components of NBA accreditation processes. These are all the outcomes. Once SAR is filled, once SAR is submitted, once NBA accreditation has come, you are entitled for this particular thing, right? It's a continuous process. For every 2 years, 3 years, you have to do all these things repeatedly, and accordingly, we have to go for continuous improvement of the program outcomes. So, let me revise. What is PEO? What is PO? What is graduate attribute? How the relations of knowledge, skill, attitudes, behaviors, how they progress in the program. Please read out because no need of any repetition from my side, just for review only. Please read. If any doubts are there, yes, it's almost 1 hour. Please ask. Please ask me.
Participants, please, if you have any doubts, ask directly. Please unmute and ask.
So, can I continue, sir?
Continue, sir.
Right. So, what
I
about
think you are explaining in a very well way that there is no doubt.
or otherwise also perhaps nobody is understanding what I'm speaking.
No, sir. In the chat box, the comments are like this very informative session. So
Okay.
it is not.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, okay. Right. So as per the title, I think I'm going in the direction. I'm right, sir.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. What
Please
we
continue.
anticipate is also in the same direction, right?
Yeah, please
Right.
continue, sir.
Okay, good. Right. So output and outcome. Some participants may have a doubt in that. What is output? Remember, it's a graduation rate, employment statistics, earlier days, before outcome-based education has come. But what is outcome? What student learned? What kind of skill student got? What is the behavior he transformed throughout 4 years of the stay at your institution? Here, just I want to give an example. Every time being a parent, we normally what do you call give negative comments to our children. Oh, no, you stand like this, you don't stand like that, you don't talk like this. Yesterday, some guests have come and then your behavior is not good. See, as a parent, you have every right to ask all these things to your children. Fine, good. Are you doing the same thing at your workplace? No, we don't. We don't. Why? Because present day scenario is different. We think that students are not listening to us. They don't care for us, and then even though we tell, they don't listen. My submission to all of you: please talk to students how you talk with your children at home. Have that empathy, care, affection towards students at your workplace. Being a teacher, remember, our teachers have done the same thing when we were students 30 years back. 30 years back, when you're in school, when you're in college, our teachers have understood, I mean, have treated like this. That's the reason we have become teachers now. We are teaching like this now. So next 30 years, certainly our students may become teachers. They should remember us. Okay, so it's a teacher have trained me, groomed me, helped me. Please do that. It's my sincere submission request, because I have seen the success. I have seen the taste of it. Right? That's with that background I'm talking. Right? Because God has given us great responsibility, because we are building society. We are the builders of society. Whether you agree or disagree, this is the truth. Because in New Zealand, if you please refer the New Zealand education system, Finland education system, please refer, where the teachers have been given highest priority, highest respect. In Germany also, highly paid jobs are doctors and teachers. Because my son is there studying for his MS course. So with that information I'm talking. Of course, here also we are getting a good amount of salaries under seventh pay, of course, on paper, because we are paying income tax 30%, right? But anyway, those are other issues. But the point is, the country should grow, no? So how we can contribute to the society? That is how. I mean, I feel that I'm giving 30% to the country, to the society, to the nation, right? Like that, I'm getting satisfaction. Why I'm telling these things out of my own personal thought process. Maybe some people may disagree. Please disagree. I don't mind, but the point is, I'm enjoying it. By thinking like this, I'm enjoying it. For the last 30 years as a teacher, I could transform a good number of students to their career wise, to their personality wise, to their family level as well, because that really helped me to grow as a person, to grow as a teacher. That has given me a lot of lessons actually, right? So please do that. How much transformation student is undergoing because of you, that will be checked. That will be checked by NBA as well, right? Because on mentoring, because of counseling, because of feedback, all these things, marks are there. Don't go for marks, but the satisfaction level will be improvement. Please tune towards it. Yes, out of 60 students, all students no need of this kind of thing. Only 10%, 15%, 20% maximum may require your help. Please focus on them. Remaining 80%, they don't require your help. They don't come to you. No need to worry. But the 10, 20%, they also don't come to you, but make them to come to you. Make them to come to you. That's important. That's where your skill lies. So, program outcomes, already, I think it's already done. Curriculum design is also done by the other experts. I don't want to touch on that. And right, this is about student learning. Knowledge, skill, attitude, behavior. These are the 4 things you have to focus on while teaching any course. Is it what kind of knowledge you are sharing, what kind of skill you are giving, what kind of attitude you are showing as a teacher, what kind of attitude you are delivering to the student through the course. You may ask, sir, for engineering subjects, what kind of attitude will be there, sir? I'm telling you, small example. I am from ECE background. I am teaching electromagnetic fields, I am teaching antennas, I am teaching radars, I am teaching satellite communication. Fine. While teaching radars, for example's sake, I am telling. So, what kind of attitude we can give it to the student? Radars are being used to measure the speed of your vehicle, right? The speed guns are there, radar is there. So, what kind of attitude student will get? He will be perfect on the road. Whenever he see the speed gun, he will understand, okay, this is a radar is there, it is related to my subject, so let me give respect to the radar, that kind of thing. So he will save his life. Who knows? He will wear a helmet, he will follow traffic rules, right? So obviously his family will be good, and he will follow for entire life, so that we can change the society with the small example in the classroom. Who knows? So behavior changes, attitude changes, also lies with what kind of examples you share with the students in the classroom towards quality, towards accountability, towards credibility, towards employability, towards their improvement, continuous improvement. As a teacher, we can improve. As a student, we'll ask students also will improve. Then, in learning environment, and the faculty efficacy, both are different. Faculty efficiency, is it there's 80% pass is there, efficient teacher. 70% pass is there, okay, average teacher. 60% pass is there, not good teacher. That's come about efficiency. Efficacy, both are interrelated, but we cannot say all efficient teachers are having efficacy or all efficacy teachers are having efficiency. No, both are not true. Both are not true. But the efficient teachers may reach to the student, may not reach to the student. But efficacy teachers certainly will reach the students. No doubt about it. So that's the point. So accountability to stakeholders. We are accountable to parents, accountable to students, accountable to management, accountable to our head, dean, principal, and accountable to society. Teachers, as I said, society builders. So we are accountable to society. We are accountable to parents. We are accountable to students. We are accountable to government. We are accountable to management. We are accountable to head, accountable to principal, right? There may be difference of opinions, but accountability is inbuilt. We cannot run. Nobody will allow us to run, right? So we are accountable. Hence, we have big responsibility, and the accreditation will teach that responsibility in a better way. So, different institutions' goals may be same, but the order of priority may be different. The faculty efficiency, may be different. The student learning may be different, and accountability stakeholders may be different. So, different, as I said, 4,000 institutions out of 20% only getting accredited. That means these 20%, 800, 900 institutions, their goals are different. Their efficacy of teachers are different. their student learning is different, their knowledge, skill, attitude, behaviors are different, their learning environment is different, and they are more accountable to stakeholders. In that way, I want to give example. So are you follow these things? Are you be part of these things? Is it your institute is part of these things? Go for accreditation. That's the only way. Go for accreditation. That's the reason AICT is conducting these many workshops across India. For the last 1.5 years, this Atal FDPs are being conducted by AICT in a wonderful way, online with online platforms. And this is, I can say, this is the fifth or sixth Atal FDP for the last 1.5 years or so. I have delivered lectures in when conducted in Kerala, when conducted in Tamil Nadu, when conducted in Madhya Pradesh, and now it's in Rajasthan. Right. So thanks for AICT, thanks for the coordinators, thanks for the institutes for giving me this great opportunity to interact with you all through online platforms. Right. So how faculty engagement in continuous improvement? This is the important thing. So successful achievements of goals require faculty participation and engagement. Now the question comes: is the focus is right by all faculty? What do we have to do get NBA accreditation, or how can we affect improved student learning? These are the two questions maybe in every teacher's mind. Yes, absolutely right. If you get these kind of questions, that means you are thinking in the right direction. Now the question comes, as I said earlier, what about the faculty role in getting NBA accreditation? The first point, you are faculty, you are responsible for your teaching in the classroom. Simple example, whatever course you teach, say for example, certain course have 5 units. For each unit, you require 10 hours, assume. So 50 hours of teaching is required, right? Next semester is coming up now. I think all university systems are going examinations online or offline now. Maybe within a month or so, next semester will start, right? So can you able to plan for 50 hours of your, your course to be taught by you beforehand? Please do that first. That means first step is done. Now the next step is how to deliver those 50 hours in the classroom. Whatever you plan in the delivery level, certainly some differences will be there, whether you or me or anybody, right? Good. Let the differences come, but slowly reduce those differences, improve your quality. That's the reason they have given for 3 years of time. First year you may not be good, first semester you may not be good, second semester you may be good, third semester will be good, fourth semester will be better, fifth semester will be excellent. So that's what they look into in continuous improvement. So please proceed accordingly. Please think accordingly. Remember, if you improve, the benefits are multiple. Your students will get benefit, number one. Your department will get benefit, number two. Your institute will get benefit, number three. And finally, society will get benefit, number four, indirectly. So our role is critical. Our role is important for society. It's not no need to go for Kashmir border, no need to go for China border, no need to go for Pakistan border to fight. Let us fight in the classroom with ourselves, with our mind, with our attitude, with our ego, with our deficiencies. Let us overcome our deficiencies as a teacher. If we want to continue this profession, we have to improve ourselves day by day, semester by semester, year by year. Accordingly, we can face the difficulties. We can face anybody across your state, across interstates, and at national level, at international level as well. Yes, because I have seen the systems in UK. I have visited there, Dudley College, stayed there for 1 week, given lectures over there. I've gone to Thailand. I have stayed there for the defense organization over there. I have visited the systems, what kind of methodologies they are following. Then I realized, okay, the learning, see the improvement, there is no end for that, but delta x improvement is there, I'll be happy, I'm good. Every day delta x improvement in my delivery. And I want to give an example. See, on the particular day, Monday, I think I have given a lecture, and then Tuesday, thanks for the coordinator, he has given me the YouTube link to me. Whether you believe it or not, I have given to all my colleagues over here that YouTube link I have shared. And whenever I meet me next day, and until yesterday, I keep on asking, have you listened? Please spend some time. Please give me feedback. Please let me improve because I have another session. Let me improve myself. Whether my English is okay, is it audible, is it easily understandable, any mistakes are there? All these things I use it to. That's my attitude. I'm not saying that I'm great. I'm trying to understand my point. It is almost, I can say, 50th time I'm teaching about NBA over the last 10 years or 12 years. But still, I'm more accountable to what I'm doing. I'm more accountable to what I'm saying. I'm more accountable to what actually I'm working for that, because I have I have big responsibility God has given to me as a teacher. I want to respect that. That's my attitude. That's my behavior. I have changed over the period of time. Initially, I'm not interested in teaching, but God has another script. Accordingly, that script I have to follow. So accordingly, I'm in front of you online. So try to understand these words from my bottom of my heart. It's not to hurt anybody, not to waste your valuable time, right? So try to think in the direction. So obviously, you'll improve. So assessment. There is a misnomer about assessment. So what you understand from assessment, I don't know. Assessment having two types, normally direct assessment and indirect assessment. And you have gone through that rubrics design as well. I don't know how many people really understood that. But direct assessment includes class tests and assignments, and then mid-examinations all comes under direct assessment. And in indirect assessment, your seminars, project viva overseas, and laboratory viva overseas, and then all other things comes under indirect assessment. But SAR demands you 80% direct assessment and 20% indirect assessment is mandatory to fill your SAR. So how to keep those things are important. In that direction, this is a process, one or more processes. That's what direct assessment and indirect assessment, two different processes to identify, to collect, and to prepare data. So how to identify the issues, how to collect those issues, and how to consolidate the data in order to attain student outcomes. That is your course outcomes and then program outcomes. As a mixture of these two under criteria 3, these assessments have to be done appropriately. That's the reason in SAR they asked for minimum of six courses. You have to give the complete data. So in that process, you have to be cautious which 6 courses to be uploaded properly. The pass percentages should be good, and the teachers' feedback should be good, and teaching learning methods should be good. The innovative practices should be involved in those courses. All these things they check. The moment they come, they check it. So while filling, you have to take all these precautions to secure good score in terms of assessment, in terms of teaching learning, in terms of continuous improvement, in terms of course outcomes, program outcomes, in terms of PEOs, in terms of mission, in terms of vision, in terms of all the combinations of whatever you learned for the last 5 days. Try to integrate whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm talking. So this is a transformational assessment. So how much information you are gathering, what kind of decision making you are doing it. So what is the assessment will be done and how it will be useful to enhance student learning. Because remember, unless student learning is involved, there is no improvement. Over the period of time, last 3 years, how many students got placed? How many students got in higher studies? How many students got GRE scores? How many students got CAT scores? All these data you have to fill it. So how to achieve these things? How to get these things? The only way is you have to train their minds. You have to follow certain procedures. You, in the sense, every teacher of the institution, every teacher of the program should understand the vision, should understand the mission, should understand POs, and accordingly the COs should be delivered in the classroom, should be attained by the students, should be delivered by the teachers. So that's a critical parameter. So in assessment, to enhance student learning, what kind of methodologies you are following, what are the pedagogical techniques you are following. If the student learning is not happening, change the pedagogy. Otherwise, modify the courses. If you're autonomous, modify the courses. See, we have done R17 curriculum revision, R19 curriculum revision, R20 curriculum revision. Yes, we have done within 3 years, we have done 3 revisions. Remember this point. Yes, it is tough. As I said, no, for the last 5 years, I'm HOD, so I'm Board of Study chairman. So lot of work, lot of working hours, lot of stress and strain involved at work level as well as at personal level as well, right? Because personal time is also very important. But for the last 2 years, keeping a lot of pressure at home as well because of my father's illness and my wife's illness as well. But still, I'm telling you, it's not a reason. Why I'm telling this, I want to excel myself at workplace. I want to give my more than 100% from my side. That's the only way we can give back to the society. Whether society asking or not, secondary. It's our primary responsibility to give back something to the society, not in terms of money, not in terms of other way. Let us train students. That's because that we know. Whatever we know, let us do it best. So redesign the curriculum. That's what we have done. So modifying courses, introducing another courses, modifying electives, introducing another elective, and then pedagogical techniques, telling to the young faculty, you do this, you do that, you don't do that. Those kind of things are whether listening or not secondary, but we have to tell. We keep on telling, keep on telling, keep on telling. As I said earlier, at home also, the children don't listen first time. The second time they listen, third time they follow, fourth time they follow for their lifetime. That's how we followed. Our fathers told, our mothers told, our grandfathers told. We followed, right? Of course, present day scenario is different. Our scenario is different. Don't compare. I mean, I'm not comparing. The point is, our fathers, mothers, grandfathers, they follow certain procedures, and we followed them. And we are following certain procedures. Our children following us. So be careful about it. What kind of procedure you are following, you check it. If your children is not following you, that means the trouble lies within you. Remember this point, whether you agree or disagree. Same philosophy applies at workplace as well. If students are not following you, that means you are doing mistakes. You correct your mistakes, then students will follow, obviously. This is also a strong statement, but I mean it. I mean it. So be accountable to yourself. If somebody is not listening, if somebody is not following, that means you are not up to the level. You are not up to the level desired to teach them, to tell them. So empower yourself. That's what great Vivekananda said. That's what great Abdul Kalam ji said. That's what all philosophers said. Right? So please read the great people biographies as well, so that it will help us to solve certain critical problems whenever time comes. Right? So the smart data collection is key in order to get good score in SAR, in order to get continuous improvement continuously, in order to improve ourselves. Collect data which will be useful. Collect data which is reasonable basis on actions. Collect data and then from information and sufficient proofs that smart data is required. They don't want unnecessary things, right? So what actually the meaning, the ABET statement, that is Accreditation Board Engineering and Technology, Accreditation Board of Engineering and Technology in USA. That is ABET, like NBA. So the program must regularly use appropriate documented processes for assessing and evaluating the extent to which the student outcomes are being attained. The results of these evaluations must be systematically utilized as input for the continuous improvement of the program. Other available information may also be used to assist in the continuous improvement of the program. So please, if possible, please take a snapshot. That is the perfect definition of continuous improvement as per ABET. It's not my own. The red letters, red colors in between those words, be careful regularly. That means in every class. documentation to be done in every class, and the student outcomes, that is course outcomes normally, because it's a bit, no, they call it as student outcomes, and NBA calls course outcomes. So whether attained or not. So every class, what are the what kind of outcome out of say, for example, this 2 hours session is there today. I have written outcomes for myself. This is the first outcome, second outcome, third outcome, accordingly 2 hours. Every half an hour I have shared. So 4 half an hours, 4 outcomes I have written to myself. This is the first outcome, whether I delivered or not. The second outcome, delivered or not. Third outcome, see, this is becoming what you call inbuilt mechanism in my mind, in my process, I mean in my behavior, unknowingly. Similarly, it should be continuous for every teacher, and it should be systematic. That means what is to be done first, what is to be done the next, because that creates lot of interest, lot of rather confusion as well sometimes. So what are the inputs for this continuous improvement, how to make it happen, how to implement these things? This is also critical for every teacher for the respective courses, respective assignments, respective laboratory deliveries, laboratory deliveries. So I want to give a small example. How many people, I mean, how many teachers are using that virtual labs in the respective laboratories? I don't know, but this COVID and what you call this COVID normally encouraged all the institutions to follow virtual labs. Almost 10 years back, initiated by MHRD, Minister of Human Resource Development, the Government of India. When IIT Delhi started initially, later on all IITs started, and wonderful tools, wonderful platforms are available. And I'm keep on advocating these things wherever I go across India. Many times I have mentioned these things in filling SARs and then advocating these things. A lot of students, a lot of faculty got benefited. So vlab.co.in. The website name is vlab.v, V for Vishakhapatnam, V for Vijayanagaram rather, vlab.co.in.
The link is shared in the chat box, and this co-host of this program, Dr. Rituraj Soni, is the coordinator of virtual labs in our institution.
Okay, very good, sir. Very good, sir.
We
Already
are
shared,
using-
sir?
Yeah, shared, sir, shared, and we have conducted all the experiment related to the first year as well as to the final
Very good.
year in
Very good,
our
sir.
college with
Very
this
good.
particular tools on.
Very good. Is it useful, sir, or not?
And definitely, it is very useful. You are sitting
Yes,
at your room and you're conducting practicals. That is very
exactly, sir. We are also doing the same, sir. Say for participants' benefit, I'm just giving
Yeah,
that information, sir.
That's
That's
why
it.
I have shared the link when
Okay.
you were saying already shared, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the support, kind support.
you.
Right. So, thanks for that. And so, accordingly, the laboratory sessions very interesting. And the one beautiful thing is the students will understand the animations. Students can understand what is to be done and how it is to be done, right? Before coming to the lab. So that is the benefit students are getting these days. When we were students, these kind of tools are not available. And another thing also I want to share, sir, that is it's an innovative thing actually done by me. Droid Tesla. Have you heard anybody? Droid Tesla. Just in the start box, I typed it. Please check it in the Google. This is a mobile app. This is a mobile app. For the last 5 years, I'm advocating my students because this areas are in Vijayanagaram. This is a rural place and then economically backward district in the whole country. You can see our what you call Indian what you call information. Vijayanagaram district is the most backward district in the entire India. That's where I am working. Just imagine what kind of what kind of students we are getting. Some students they cannot even to buy even 5,000 worth rupees smartphone as well. That's the situation here. We are serving to them. I feel proud, right? So what I have done 5 years back, before they come to the lab, they cannot afford for laptop, they cannot afford for desktop, and they're all of them staying in hostel. 90% are staying in hostel only, so that they can share If one smartphone is there for among 3 or among 2, certainly they can share. That kind of mechanism I made it. So this mobile app, we can all basic labs of ECE, electronic device circuits and electron circuit analysis and pulse and digital circuits and linear integrated circuits, drag and drop like PSpice, PSpice. So this is a very comfortable app. And then they can check the input, they can give input of their choice, they can get the output of their choice, and then they'll understand where they're doing mistakes and how can they correct it. All these things they will do, and they will come before the lab, and then they will explain. Then only they will be allowed to do the experiment really. Individually, breadboards will be given, and then they will do it. And then the moment they do it within half an hour, they have 2 hours time is there, so that they can finish the record, they can submit, they can go back to the hostel without any luggage, without any luggage in the sense, and then there is no work pressure at hostel. They can focus on the other subjects. So that kind of mechanism is really working. So I got very good feedback from the students, those who already gone out. Some of them absorbed in ISRO, some of them absorbed in Samir, some of them absorbed in very good core branches, core jobs. They are giving me feedback. Recently, that alumni feedback really that helped us to score very good marks in out of getting 720 out of 1000. So we got very good feedback from alumni. So what I mean to tell, so please go for some innovative methods, so that you'll get appreciation from the what you call from NBA experts, as well as from students, from parents, from society as well. So for continuation of that, so the essence of quality assurance is seen to be the weakest link in most institutions as seeking accreditation. So most institutions fail to spend enough effort in closing the loop. Coming from IIT, I would say, since I have done my PhD from IIT, so that's the reason I'm showing light. So what are the weakness? So the continuous improvement, several reasons: lack of leadership, lack of ownership. That's important. So everybody may become leader, right? Fine. But what is the meaning of leader? What is the meaning of leadership? Gandhi, Mahatma, the great Gandhi is a leader. Fine. And what is his leadership? Why it is been successful? What about others? What about other leaders? What about their leadership? Which leadership really became successful? Why they are not successful? Other others, Alexander, great Alexander, he conquered the world. But his leadership is a question mark. Similarly, great Ashoka, he conquered, but later, what about leadership? Yes. So ownership, it never fails. It never fails. You have to have this ownership in your mind. Yes, these are my students, these are my children, this is my department, these are my colleagues, these are my friends, right? These are my books. I have to live with them. I have to live with this faculty. I have to live with these colleagues. So I have to finish this work. This is my work. It is not somebody's work. So you should have that kind of attitude towards the given work, towards classwork, towards lab work, towards teaching, towards delivery, towards NBA work. To see, these are the things telling so simple, but doing is so difficult. I do understand. But for the last 30 years or so, what I understood, so in early days of my career, thanks to the administrators, thanks to then principal, then HOD and all, they guided me well. They have given me basic inputs in such a way that I can think positively. I can think positively at all times. That helped me to survive in the present day testing times. So I request all senior faculty at respective institutes, please guide them, your young faculty, in a positive way, positive manner. Certainly they will realize one day or the other, and certainly they will improve. Certainly they will work for the institute, they work for the department as time progressed. We cannot expect results immediately, but we have to give time for them to transform their mind, because present day scenario is completely different. If somebody says something, always we listen and we forget, we don't involve. So that is a scenario everywhere. So we have to come out of that, because we are teachers. We should be in a position to tell. We should be in a position to tell to others who will listen to us continuously, at home, at office, in society, at society level as well. Because any parent comes, we should be in a position to talk to them about their ward, about their children in a systematic way. How can we do that unless we involve in classroom, unless we involve in laboratory, unless we involve with all the basics, ethics, morals? We cannot able to speak to the stakeholders like parents. Hence, we are having a very big challenge, very big responsibility. That will come only by ownership, right? So sometimes inadequate appreciation of this aspect. So always I advocate my fellow colleagues and seniors, please appreciate your juniors. No cost is involved, no need to pay anything. Please praise them, please appreciate them. Even the small work they have done for the institute, for the department, right? Appreciate them in front of all. That's what the earlier philosophers told. So appreciate in front of all, but don't criticize in front of all. If you want to criticize, please call them into your room and then close the door, and then you tell them, you criticize them. But appreciation, you have to do it in front of many, because that creates a lot of happiness, and that creates a lot of ownership, positive thinking, and positive attitude. So administrators should understand, should observe these things, and accordingly they have to implement to get things done at their level. So telling this is so easy, but implementation, we feel that we don't want to appreciate others because it's not our what you call our culture or whatever. I don't know. But whereas the foreigners, oh, they appreciate like anything. They clap it, they laugh it, they pat it, and then they tell thank you, they tell wonderful, they tell all excellent. All these words they use very frequently. So we have to develop these things for present day generation, what you call faculty or students, to get things done. This is a small tip, but wonderful outcomes will come. So non-compliant faculty, they always busy. They seem to be busy. They create, they pretend to be busy, right? You can easily identify them. If anybody is so assumed to be so busy, because they are not listening to the administration. Very simple, very simple observation. 95% of the cases true. So discomfort with assessment, inconclusive results, these two comes under ineffective tools. So you have to give comfort for assessment, and you have to give conclusive results towards outcomes. Maybe other reasons are also there, inadequate resources, and trying to do too much, which is unsustainable. These are all possible issues for not reaching the goals, whatever we set, okay, for continuous improvement or whatever. So where do we start? If we wish to do good things, where do we start? Every one of us should think. If we are ready to do good things, yes, everybody is doing their job to do good things only. But how? How to start it? How to do it? So there is a process, there is a methodology. There is a methodology for it, right? So for at each and every level, there are processes, there are results, there are improvements. So processes: collecting data, consolidating data, analyzing data, reporting data, and evaluating the data. Results: the conclusive results in the form of data, in the form of information, in the form of knowledge, in the form of decisions, in the form of curriculum design, in the form of pedagogical improvements. These are all results. Actions: curriculum changes, pedagogical changes, any other changes. So if you categorize these three columns, what process I should follow? what are the results I'm expecting? What are the improvement actions I should do? I, in the sense, individuals, administrators are also should think in the same direction to do anything. If you follow this methodology, certainly 70 to 80% success rate will come. If you talk nonsense, if you do nonsense, if you waste time, obviously we cannot able to get the results done. The process also will be of no use, and the improvement actions also will not be appreciated by our colleagues. They may not tell in front, but they don't follow. So once they know the end result, obviously people will most of the human beings will come forward. The small example, the moment the first class, the semester beginning, as a teacher, if you go to the first class, please remember, all our teachers, what you have done, what you have delivered. Please, no need to tell me, but please close your eyes and then think of what actually you have done. Normally, what we do, the syllabus sheet we speak, right? Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, like that, and the textbooks and all, so all this stuff, right? The first class, no, semester beginning. You spend more time with them. Try to understand what are the troubles they faced in previous semester with you. You ask them in front all. If nobody is telling, you identify at least some people, call them to your room and let them give feedback, honest feedback, in a friendly manner. Accept it with both hands and improve them. Improve that in that semester. That's the biggest benefit from students we can able to anticipate. Yes, I got it like that in my first year career. Still I remember a student came to my house. Then actually he expressed his feedback to my wife, saying that, Madam, sir is so strict and so honest and so much hardworking, but his English is not good. He is preparing a lot, but he could not deliver it properly to all of us to understand it better way. In the first year of my career, because I came from Telugu medium, I could not able to deliver it properly. That is the biggest what do you call feedback in my life. Thereafter, I focused, and what I am today. Still, some mistakes are there. Please excuse me for that. But still, see, I started learning because of his feedback. Almost he has given me in 1993, right? Still I remember that year because I have given lot of importance to his feedback, right? Strict and all other things are all adjectives. It's relative, right? But this is for my personal growth as a teacher. I must be good in my communication. I must be good in my written communication, oral communication, presentations, right? Unless otherwise, 60 students may not be in a position to listen properly. The same story for many teachers as well. So how to improve it? So what I have done, regularly I used to read Hindi newspaper until that point of time, but later on I started reading the editorial page and letters to editors. Editorial page and letters to editors in a systematic way. I used to have dictionary. I used to write the letter, the words which I didn't understand, and the same day before I sleep, or from my colleagues or from students, because in those days students are so good, so good, excellent, I can say, right? So I learned from students, I learned from colleagues. I started improving as time progressed. So those who wish to do certain things to improve, there is no way out except hard work, except smart work these days. So this is a small example I would like to. So accordingly, you have to plan, you have to process, you have to get results, then only, right? Unless you get it, you do it, nothing will come. So this is about the program outcomes with courses. This is there in SAR. So accordingly, you have to fill it. Now, is the benefits of mapping. Just I want to skip it. This evidence also I want to skip it because as time is progressing, last 10 minutes, I want to, right. I want to show the assessment challenge. Let you be expert of the subject, may not be expert of assessment. Everybody should agree this. Why? Because you conducted first meet, you conducted second meet, you have evaluated 60 students. Maybe all 60 students may not get the same mark. Out of 25 marks, I assume they start from 10 marks to 24 marks, maybe 10 marks to 25 marks. Maybe 10 students may get less than 15, 20 students may get less than 20, maybe 30 students got more than 20. Like that, you can able to analyze, right? Now the question is, can and do bring their own intuition and insight into what constitutes acceptable performance in their classes. Can you do this? Challenge is, we have to involve them more deeply into the assessment conversation to measure effectiveness of what they do individually or collectively. And additional effort should be worthwhile to the faculty as well. So as I said in the earlier example, out of 60 students, how many can able to write your first course outcome delivered fine? But how many of them can able to get 10 out of 10 in the first question? All 60? Or only 50? Or only 40? What about the remaining people? Why they could not able to get 10 out of 10? Because you have given the paper, you have delivered it, and you have evaluated it. Why they didn't get full marks? You are not so liberal, you are so strict, or have you not delivered properly, or have they not attended completely, or have not understood properly? Remember, if any problem lies with the student, nobody will listen to you. It's your mistake only. If students are not coming, why they are not coming? If students are not understanding, why they are not understanding? If students are not writing, why they are not writing? You are answerable. Remember this point. That is what your outcome-based education demands. That's what NBA demands. That's what NAC demands. That's what administrators ask. That's what management ask. That's what everybody ask. So teacher is responsible for the respective students' success. Nobody cares, but the student failure, yes, student is responsible. Teacher is responsible for students' failure. Teacher is accountable. Have this particular thing in the mind in every class. In every class. Then assessment can be done in a better manner. Like subject expertise, you have to be assessment expertise. Assessment also should be done with expertise. That is expected as far as NBA SAR is concerned. Now you have done outcome-based evaluation, outcome-based assessment. What is evaluation? It's one or more processes for interpreting the data and evidences which are accumulated through the assessment processes. So evaluation determines up to which extent the student outcomes are being attained and how this evaluation leads to decisions, leads to actions about the program improvement. It comes under continuous improvement. Evaluation is linked with continuous improvement. Remember this point. So what kind of evaluation you are doing? How you are doing it? What is the process? How you are interpreting the data? How you are collecting the evidences? How you are accumulating it? Then up to what extent the course outcomes are being attained? How this evaluation is giving decision making or actions to be done regarding that, because in continuous improvement criteria 7, if the pass percentage is not reached, what are the actions you are proposing 2 years back, whether the actions have been implemented or not? If so, what is the improvement you got? So all these steps are also to be filled. So this comes under evaluation category in linking with criteria 7. So what about performance criteria? It is specific, measurable, and the performance required to meet the outcome, and it should be verified through evidences. What kind of course file, what kind of subject file, what kind of mid papers, what kind of final examination papers, what kind of assignment questions, what kind of textbooks, what kind of curriculum, what kind of delivery, what kind of laboratory learning, what kind of tools used, what kind of equipment used, what kind of in what do you call technical fests are being conducted, what kind of extracurricular activities are being conducted. All this comes under this particular evidences. So with this, let me stop, sir, because time is around 2 o'clock. Because the next one is rubrics and other things already over by other faculty. Actually, I thought of telling the teacher role and responsibility specifically, but I have covered the overview of all the criteria and then changes and then the role and responsibility of faculty in doing so. Right, sir? Can I
Right, sir.
stop now?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir. Sure. So, participants, if you have any queries, please unmute and ask. You can stop sharing, sir, now.
So no questions?
Sir, wonderful session you had. Yes, sir. No, I think no questions are there in chat box. So let's conclude the session. So thank you very much, sir, for this very informative session about practices to improve quality of education. Sir, you explained very important point related to NBA SAR, like recent changes happened in the evaluation scheme of SAR and methodologies, procedures to improve quality of our teaching learning system. So I hope this session was of great importance, at least those who are going for NBA accreditation or looking for in this direction. I hope all of you enjoyed the session. So now we are very much thankful to Professor C.K.V. Rao sir for sparing time for this informative session. And on behalf of all the participants, Engineering College Bikaner and Atal AICT team, it's my privilege to extend vote of thanks to Professor C.K.V. Rao sir for this wonderful session. Thank you once again, sir, and all the participants. So can you stop sharing this screen, sir? Let's take a snapshot of this meeting. And all the participants are requested to make your cameras on, if possible.
Sir is there or not? I think.
Sir is there. He is sharing this screen.
Sir, sir can stop sharing. Then we can have the.
Yeah. I will do it from my side. Yeah.
That's
Thank
fine.
you. Yeah, fine, sir. Rao sir,
Yes, sir.
please
Sir, on your camera, sir,
on
please.
your
Yes. I have already switched on.
your video is not coming, sir.
No, sir. I could see you. I could see Sandeep ji. I could see Madam.
Okay.
But we can't see you, sir.
We cannot.
I don't know how because
We want to see you. We want to see you, sir.
maybe the adjustments at your end. Maybe.
Sir, you
Okay.
stop the video and then start it again.
Okay, I'll do that.
Maybe some network issue because the exclamatory mark is there.
Is it okay now?
Not yet. Perhaps. Sir, there is some network issue due to low bandwidth. Video
Maybe,
is not
maybe.
currently available.
Maybe.
I could see all of you, sir. I am seeing all of you actually.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks to all.
Yes.
So, thank you very much, sir. And
Thank
for the participants, we will be meeting again at 2:30 p.m. for valedictory function. Okay. Thank you all.